the Mississippi Crop Situation Podcast featuring the Crop Doctors.
Good morning from the Crop Doctors Podcast studio in Stoneville. This is Friday morning. Don's here. Don's got some late-breaking bug news that we need to talk about this morning, so that's why we're in here on a Friday. Tom's blood pressure's through the roof, as it usually is when we record podcasts on Friday. Tom, you don't have to tell people why your blood pressure's through the roof, just that it is a Friday, which makes your blood pressure go up for some reason.
You know, just issues in the pathology world that exacerbate pathologists' blood pressure that aren't necessarily pathology related. I'm
good. It's July.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jason's done. They're done.
I only
They're
get
done.
hot this time of year.
Mowing the yard.
Yeah. It is a situation of my choosing if I get hot or not this time of year.
The season of pestilence begins for those of us that deal with insect and pathogens.
Yeah. Hey, y'all had an opportunity back down the line to be weed scientists if you wanted to be.
We didn't.
Y'all should have thought about the big picture.
Yeah, whatever.
It was a smaller picture at that point.
Don, my question is going to be simple for you.
Okay.
Careful now.
Sporting your blue lenses there.
Well,
Don does have his sunglasses on.
Well, my eyes are bothering me. I had an allergic reaction yesterday, so
hey,
I
Tom,
still got some swelling.
Stop. It's a rock star type situation.
Slip over there and plug in our neon sign, and Don can justify having those sunglasses on.
It's radiant. Radiant.
Bright is bright is the word for that sign.
Intense comes to mind.
Yeah.
Intensity. Yep.
All right. So back to my question, Don.
All right.
I'm trying to think. I don't know that I've ever seen you with glasses that weren't blue lenses. So what is Don Cook's opinion about blue lenses versus green lenses on his sunglasses?
I've had these for a couple of years, or maybe a year or so. I like them. I traditionally ran the gray ones, and I still got some. These are some replacement ones because I broke one of the glass ones in here, and these have some supposed color enhancing. They're pretty nice. I like them.
The green ones, in my opinion.
Well, you were talking about way back yonder.
Well,
the old Ray-Ban aviator types that I used to wear.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about your 21st century fancy sunglasses. I'm not talking about your...
I don't have any green ones.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Why do you prefer the blue ones?
Maybe he's never tried on the green ones.
I haven't tried the green ones.
Okay.
There you go.
I just assumed that with your affinity for gadgets that you had worked through that process.
No, the only reason I went this route is because I broke one. I dropped these things and broke one of the lenses and then started looking for, replacements.
I obviously have to come up with better questions for Don because this is like 3 in a row where I had higher expectations for his response.
Swing and a miss.
Swing and a miss. Let's get into etymology, Don, because we don't want to bog people down on a Friday.
Okay.
Tell folks what has transpired over the last couple of weeks that led us to being in here this morning.
All right. Over the last probably 14, 18 days, the incidence of fall armyworm in grass, pastures, and now rice has increased a fair bit.
And by a fair bit, I assume that means a lot.
Yes, we've got, particularly I'm hearing more out of Lafleur County than everywhere else, but they're starting to pick them up, other places as well. Southeast Arkansas, I'm hearing is full blown. They're finding them in North Louisiana. There's concern with that. And what drives a lot of this is what we have available to manage them in rice.
Okay.
All we have labeled is pyrethroids, which for years did really well, but starting about 2021, we started seeing inconsistencies. And I've already heard reports of some guys spraying some either hayfields or pastures and have not gotten good results. So that prompted us to ask for additional help in the chemistry world. And what we've done is we have applied for and have been granted an emergency crisis exemption for Intrepid 2F, not Intrepid Edge, but Intrepid 2F for fall armyworm and rice. That started yesterday, and I know we typically don't talk about dates on this podcast, but we need to on this one. This started yesterday, the 11th, and it will run through, if I remember right, the 26th of July.
So approximately 2 weeks.
We have 14 days on this, and everybody says, well, only 14 days. No, what that is that is a crisis exemption. We also have a Section 18 emergency request in, and that basically they've granted us the crisis to allow us to use it while they review this full Section 18 package. And our proposed use dates run through the end of September on that one.
So that situation could well change over the next 2 weeks where that.
But you'll be waiting for that
When they will let us,
potential adoption based on their review of that package.
we have use of it for 14 days, no matter what. And then they review the Section 18 request and tell us yes or no that you can have it from now till the end of September. We had one of these in 2021, the last real big armyworm year we've had. There's precedent for us getting it, but I'm not going to say it's a guarantee, but I think we have a good chance of getting it.
2021 was tough.
It was bad. There was another year about 15 it was real bad?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Folks had pictures of them, of armyworms. They had eaten the rice down to the water and were sitting there waiting on it to grow back up so they could eat some more.
I remember that.
And I got a call a while ago about them. The numbers are not bad. They're really small, but the rice is beginning to head. Rice can tolerate a lot of defoliation until
the flag leaf comes
out and you start trying to fill grain. They're either feeding on the flag leaf or they're feeding in the head directly. That's when it gets a lot more critical.
And that's just like herbicide damage or disease infestation. If it gets on the flag leaf, that's when it's definitely a problem.
Yeah.
Well, flag leaf drives everything.
Right.
It's just like wheat. Like if you removed it, same ear leaf and corn, all the rest of that stuff drives the whole entire show.
Now, a lot of this later rice, this still vegetative, it can tolerate a lot more because it's just putting on biomass and Nick Bateman in Arkansas has done a lot of this and said, they've went 40-something% defoliation, 50%, and it never checked up. But when it hits that, head, and that's a different animal there.
No, that's a fact.
And
with anything,
the tolerance is much lower.
So, definite yield loss potential. depending on the growth stage, depending on the severity of the population. So then, I guess go through rates and timing for Intrepid.
The rates run from 4 to 8 ounces. 4 ounces is done really well, and that's probably where most people are going to settle. It's not as cheap as a pyrethroid. It's not the most expensive thing out there, but it's still more expensive than a pyrethroid. I would probably, tolerate them as long as I could, particularly until I got into heading, and then try to get by with one application. And
is there a pre-harvest interval on that?
14 days is what I think it is.
Okay.
We're good on that. So, but once we start jointing, you probably need to go ahead and start thinking about it because your plant is getting to the stage where it's not going to tolerate as much damage.
Yeah, and folks are finding, and what I'm hearing about is folks are finding small ones. If you decided that you wanted to use a pyrethroid, I would target the smaller larvae with it instead of the bigger ones. Give it the best chance it can to work. And where this came from, someone asked me, they were fixing to have to probably make a stink bug application and wanting to know if they could add a pyrethroid in there to try to help with the armyworms. And I said, go after the small ones with it. You got a better chance of getting better control targeting the little ones as opposed to the bigger ones.
What about mixes? I wanted to mix it with something else. Depending on timing.
I don't know if there's any issues. It's a flowable, but I can't really answer that. You may have to look on labels of what you're mixing it with.
Same timing would be appropriate for some fungicide application.
Adjuvant with that? No adjuvant?
No. We typically don't run one. I'm pretty sure it doesn't say anything about adjuvant on the label.
Okay. My assumption would be if people are putting out fungicide at this time, they're probably including an adjuvant.
I mean, it won't hurt, but if I remember right, it doesn't, specifically require one. as you would think. If you're unsure, jar test it, see if it turns into peanut butter before you load the airplane with it.
Don, before we get out of here, stink bug situation, where you at on stink bugs and rice?
They're showing up. We can find them relatively easy, anything that's flowering. We checked some rice yesterday that was flowering. That's why my eyes are swollen. And stink bugs are pretty easy to find. Now, a lot of them are, right at threshold or nothing just outrageous, but, they're not hard to find.
Wrap up, Don. Remind folks about what we've talked about with rice stink bugs and the control of them on a couple other episodes this year.
Yeah. Tenshu is what we have labeled other than as an alternative to pyrethroids. So far, I've heard no issues with supply, so we're just having to take a wait and see. And hopefully we can get through this season. I will submit a Section 18 for indigo if we need it, but if we don't, it just makes my life a little bit easier.
And just make Don aware
if we run into a situation where we've exhausted the Tenshu supply, let me know and we'll move forward.
Very good. Thanks, Don.
Thank y'all.
Short notice. Thanks for coming in on Friday. Tom, I've just teasing you about your blood pressure.
I know, it's all right.
Thank y'all, and hope everybody has a good weekend.
The Mississippi Crop Situation Podcast is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.